Hello, my name is Abbas Kiarostami. Here is an almost finished self-portrait that I made using the squiggly line tool on Microsoft Word. I am a very busy man. I make films and documentaries and scripts and photographs and poems and paintings and illustrations and designs. I do not stop. Here is one of my photographs. The other day, I was reading a book called The Life of the White Ant by Maurice Maeterlinck when a phrase popped into my head. I don't know where the phrase came from, but it really stuck with me. The phrase was freshly coloured romance. It obviously had nothing to do with the white ant, because white ants are white, not freshly coloured. However, this phrase inspired me to make some changes to some of my photographs. For instance, it's amazing what you can do these days on Photoshop. Basically, I have ideas all the time. I never know where they come from, and often I don't know what they mean. But I follow them as if they were attached to the front of my face, like a nose. Here is one of my recent ideas. A reality TV show where the contestants question the reality of the reality TV show. The show would be called something like How Do You See the World? And the host would have this catchphrase that he keeps repeating, like, your reality depends on the glasses that you're wearing. The show would be set on a tropical island off the coast of Honduras. The island would be small, only 1 kilometer wide. 10 men and 10 women would live on the island. In the first episode, the contestants would introduce themselves and explain how they see the world according to their religion, their culture, their upbringing, their current fears and desires. One contestant might be called Paul. He would say something like, I see the world as a blank canvas, and I intend to make my mark upon it. There would probably also be a woman called Heather who might say, I see the world as a dangerous place in which I must construct security and beauty. And at the end of each episode, the contestants would be forced to take part in a kind of baptism ritual. All 20 contestants would line up on the beach, the water lapping at their feet. The host would be waiting in the water, submerged up to his waist. He would call out the names of 2 contestants, 1 man and 1 woman, and they would wade out to him. The contestants would then have their faces forced under the water by the host, and as they slowly drown, they would think to themselves, is this the reality of the reality TV show, or the reality of my existence? Hello again. This is the part where I talk to you about ants. This is the real reason that I am addressing you, because it is the most exciting of all my recent ideas. It is the reason that I first said to you, hello, my name is Abbas Kiarostami. I have a great many things to say about ants. Let me explain. For the last month, I have been working on a new film in the city of Melbourne, Australia. It is a film about acting, about what it means to pretend to be someone else. I am exploring whether the world created by the actor can become a reality, or whether it is solely a fiction. I am drawing parallels with the fictions we create in everyday life, in the worlds that we decide are real. The filming is going well, and we are about to enter post-production. However, I have this new idea that I can't stop thinking about. The idea is to purchase some ants and an ant enclosure, and to film the ants. I will compile hours of footage, of ant footage, and then, 3/4 of the way through the film about acting, I will suddenly cut to the footage of the ants. The last 25 minutes of the film will be just ants. This is one of my best ideas yet. I have found a large glass terrarium on eBay for $450. It's advertised as Fascinating Ant Village. Click to see more. I click to see more, and the image looks like this. The seller is a man called Anthony from Wonthaggi. I drive 135 kilometres from Melbourne to Wonthaggi to pick up the fascinating ant village. The drive is pleasant. As it turns out, Wonthaggi is a placid beach town. When I arrive, Anthony from Wonthaggi says that by chance he has 1,037 army ants available right here, right now, if I want them. You bet I want them. Army ants, explains Anthony from Wonthaggi, or legionary ants, as they are sometimes called, are an aggressive and nomadic breed of ant. They are blind, and they spend their days following each other around, searching for food, such as spiders and flies, which they then feed to their queen. The queen's ideal meal looks like this. Unlike other breeds of ant, says Anthony, pouring the ants into a special ant-carrying device, army ants do not have a permanent nest, so it will be interesting to see how they react to being housed permanently inside the fascinating ant village. Yes, it will be interesting. You're going to need to fill the enclosure with soil. Okay, Anthony. And sand. Yes, Anthony. And miniature logs. That's enough now, Anthony. I've spent enough money on ants. Oh, and one more important thing. I'm afraid I have no queen army ants in stock today, so your soldiers are free agents. When the ants and I get home, I layer their enclosure with sand and soil so that the ants can explore the different regions of their new house. And then, opening the special ant-carrying device, I let them loose inside the fascinating ant village. They hit the ground running, their feet and hands on fast forward, touching everything, feeling it, moving on, touch, feel, move on, touch, feel, move on. They explore with remarkable curiosity and speed. It is feeding time, I say, and drop in a dead spider. The ants cover the spider in ants until it looks just like a black mound with a couple of spider legs poking out of the top. They certainly are hungry ants. I set up my two Nikon Coolpix L120s, which have a macro function, making the ants look like this. A week passes, and the ants are still running as fast as they can around the fascinating ant village. They do not stop. They want to escape, but they can't escape. At times I feel bad, restricting their nomadic nature. Sometimes they run along the glass walls of the fascinating ant village as if they are looking out, surveying me, surveying them with my two Nikon Coolpix L120s. But they are blind, so they are surveying nothing. I wonder if they act this way in the wild, with the same mad curiosity, the same furious desire for knowledge, exploring as far and as wide as their little legs will carry them. Every day I feed them a dead spider, and they devour it overnight, and then keep exploring. This makes for great drama, and I am accumulating excellent footage. I return from work one day to find that my ants have formed what seems to me to be an ant whirlwind. They are circling round and round and round, spiraling into a horrible black mass. It's as if the ants are trying to generate a tornado in the center of the fascinating ant village that will shatter the glass walls and set them free. There are also dead ants, poor little upturned bodies amidst the mass, the other ants blindly climbing over them. "Stop it!" I shout, because I don't like this rebellion. Then I call Anthony from Wonthaggi, and he says, "Hi, you've called Anthony from Wonthaggi. If you're responding to an advertisement for the fascinating ant village, you've reached the right place. Please leave your name and number, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can." I type into my computer ant spiral, ant rebellion, and ant circle. At first all I find are YouTube videos with amateur scientists talking to children. And then I read 4 terrible words. Wikipedia, ant death circle. And then I read more words. This bizarre evolutionary trap is unique to the army ant or legionary ant. Unlike other ant species, they are blind. When searching for food, they follow each other en masse. The first ant drops a pheromone trail, and other ants sniff it out. This is a functional operation for the army ant, as it enables large groups to find and attack prey. However, sometimes the pheromone trails get mixed up and loop back in on themselves, creating an endless spiral which the ants will follow until they drop dead from exhaustion. And the only way to break the circle is to introduce new prey into the loop. I find dead spiders. I drop dead spiders into the ant vortex, but the ants ignore the dead spiders and keep spiraling. And it's then that I realize what is happening. The internet can't tell me, because it's unique to my ants. My ants are intelligent beasts. My ants are making a specific choice here. They're not merely following pheromones. With no queen to feed, no territory to explore, stuck in this glass prison with nothing but their own minds to occupy them, they're doing what any rational person would do in the same situation. My ants are committing suicide. Ants. They're the only creatures other than humans smart enough to perform such a stupid operation. I sit by the fascinating ant village and watch them die. It looks like about half of them are already dead. I drop more dead spiders into the heaving vortex, but they ignore them. Finally, I press myself up to the glassed window and I speak to my ants. I understand you, ants. What you are doing makes sense to me. But things that seem to make sense are often tricks of the mind. They are just words, just reasons. They have no power outside the world you've created in your own heads. It's you who gives your mind the power to enslave you. It's not the glass walls of this fascinating ant village. You know, sometimes I feel like I'm an ant living inside a fascinating ant village. I explore my surroundings, I search for food, I feel purposeless. So I make films and poems, and I take photographs and paint pictures. It doesn't fill the massive hole in my heart, but it gives me direction, something to work towards. Look around yourselves. There is beauty in the simple things, in the soil and the sand and the miniature log that Anthony from Wonthaggi coerced me into buying. You know, some people never even realize they're living inside a fascinating ant village. They just walk around all day searching for food, pretending they have a queen to feed. They never question anything. I applaud you all for questioning, for searching for something more, and for rebelling against life when you realize it's all just a simulation taking place inside a fascinating ant village for the amusement of a higher being. But you must ask yourself, what will my rebellion actually do? What effect will it have on the world? This path that you're taking, I must tell you, because I'm an objective observer and I can see with some perspective, it won't change anything. The soil inside your enclosure will not turn into delicious spider meat. The glass walls will not shatter. You won't find any answers. But that's okay. Accept this fact. Do not give up. Accept that your life is now inside this glass enclosure. Accept that there's no queen to feed, no territory to explore. Do not take the easy way out. I beg you. This may not be the reality that you imagined for yourself. This may not be the dream that you dreamt as young ants, but it's all you have right now. Please, do not discard this particular reality. If there's some other more fruitful reality, it will always be beyond your reach. Whether it's beyond the glass walls of the fascinating ant village, or beyond the next mound, the next hill, or the next mountain, you nomads are always searching for something. You are an aggressive species, and I know you have a short fuse. But this action you're taking right now is a form of insanity. Your mind has lost control. Do not take out your anger and discontent on yourselves. Please, embrace what you have in front of you. It's beautiful and it's real.